Welcome back, dude and dudettes, to another wild episode of Send It Mate. We're here to talk about all things hunting and outdoors. And today, we've got something that'll keep your gear running smoother than a dingo's getaway.
That's right. Our show is brought to you by High Caliber, the gun and knife oil company that knows how to keep your firearms and blades in tip-top shape.
High Caliber is like the secret sauce for hunters, anglers, and outdoorsy folk everywhere. It's like the magic potion that makes your gun and knives happier than a dog with two tails.
You know, guys, I've been using High Caliber oil for a while now, and let me tell you, it's the duck's nuts. My rifle practically sings a lullaby when I take it out hunting.
And speaking of lullabies, ever tried sneaking up on a deer with a squeaky gun? It's a prime way to end up with no venison in the freezer. You'll be hungrier than a vegan at a bacon festival.
Absolutely. But with High Caliber oil, your gun will be quieter than a ninja in moonlight. You'll be stalking your prey with the grace and stealth of a mountain lion.
High Caliber doesn't just keep things quiet, it also prevents rust and corrosion, so you won't find your gear looking like it spent a season at the bottom of a creek.
That's right, and for you knife enthusiasts out there, High Caliber has got you covered too. Your trusty blade will slice through anything smoother than butter on a hot biscuit.
So, folks, don't let your gear become a rusty, squeaky mess. Head on over to highcaliber.com.au and grab a bottle of their oil today.
And if you use the code SENDITMATE at checkout, you'll get a special discount. I say again, use the code SENDITMATE for all your oil slick, stealthy hunting needs.
Thanks to High Caliber, you'll be sending it in style and silence.
So, gear up, oil up, and send it, mate. High Caliber, the ultimate oil for the ultimate hunter.
What's going on, you crazy motherfuckers? Welcome to another episode of Send It Mate, Season 5, Episode 12. I'm Josh.
I'm Caleb.
I'm Couchy.
And I have a joke for you. What has 180 teeth and hides a monster?
Oh, you zipper.
Yeah, buddy.
Mate, that's as old as the hills.
Settle down.
Well done on the intro, by the way. You're fucking redlining the bloody sound desk.
Mate, it's because I've got some zhoosh in my pants.
Some zhoosh.
Some zhoosh.
It's only 180 teeth away.
It is. And it's a monster. Oh, fuck. Anyway, we have a point of interest, actually.
Do we? What is it?
We do. So I went camping the other week with the missus.
Last week.
Yep, last week with my missus. And I've got this RV3 that you like to give me a bit of fucking chatter on a bit.
It's an extremely expensive tent.
It's pretty good.
It's not really. It is pretty good. But like I've said in the past, I got the RV3 Plus, so it's got a fucking skylight into it. So you can unzip the canvas and fold it back. And
Is that what the plus stands for?
Yeah.
The skylight.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And it's a bit smaller, actually. A little bit smaller. I don't know why, but because all the canvas went into the skylight.
Yeah.
But anyway, we sort of set up on the beach, and this beach was fucking mint. But the beach had a slant to it. So we sort of leveled it out as best we could, but it still sort of slanted down towards the ocean. Anyway, the first night was fucking amazing. Absolute stunning. Awesome. Second night, we're sort of cooking dinner, and the weather started turning. We could see this storm pretty much coming in off the beach. It looked spectacular, but it kind of got us into a bit of a panic mode, so we've sort of packed up a bit, pulled the awning part of the RV3 down because of the wind, and I don't have sand pegs, and I didn't have my sandbags with me, so I was just using regular pegs. So I'm like, oh, fuck. Let's
Do nothing with sand.
Let's pull this down so it doesn't fucking get blown away in the middle of the night. Anyway, it was all good. It started to sprinkle as we've gotten to bed. We sort of went to bed early because it was a bit shit.
What did?
Hey?
What sprinkled as you were getting into bed?
That's
Bit
not
of
a
moisture on
sprinkle,
the
mate.
inside of the tent.
That's like fucking the rivers of Babylon.
I was
Right,
referring more
there's
to
no
you
sprinkle
with your
there.
bloody pre-ejaculate.
It's nothing wrong with a bit of pre-cum, mate. Grow up.
Just sprinkle it.
Just don't take a blue light in your tent.
Anyway, We sort of tuck it in a lot for the night.
Suck it in.
And got a bit of an early night. We've got the laptops. We're playing a bit of a movie. We're going to setting the scene.
You're setting a weird scene here, mate.
Setting the scene. Ron Jeremy comes on.
Was there a tripod set up in the corner of RV3?
How do you think we afford to go away and spend money on a luxury tent?
Mate, I feel like this should be included in the design as well, just like a mounting point for a camera.
No, I feel like the only reason he can afford a tent is he didn't get a caravan.
Yet. The caravan will be here eventually. Anyway, we're going to bed, and I had a wicked night's sleep, actually. Or the start of a wicked night's sleep. Like, I was out cold. I'm like, shit, yeah, comfy as, warm, got the hot water bottle going. Awesome. And I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to this fucking, just this stream of liquid hitting my chest. I'm like, fuck.
My mind's gone the
And
wrong
like,
direction here.
Man, there's some fantasies going
Didn't know
on.
you're into
here or
that,
something. Steve would have been loving it. Anyway,
How was the golden shower?
warm. Anyway, I've sort of woken up and I've realised exactly what it is. I'm like the tent. The tent is leaking. So I put my hand up and sort of pushed up the tent a little bit. And what happened is there's like a pole. And because of the angle, it's sort of created a little bit of a gutter. And then you've got the zipper for the sunroof. And it's just pulled up, and a gust of winds hit and just pushed the water in through, and then it's just hit that tipping point and drained all down, and it's hit directly on me at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, oh my God. I fucking threw a bit of a tanny, and I'm like, shit. Realised there was nothing we could do. The bed's saturated. And I'm not talking about like a little bit of liquid. It's gushing, man. It's gushing, just like she was. And
I mean, I feel like you should be used to sleeping in that then.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, one would think you're used to it, but hey. Anyway, I've just like woken up and I've sort of realised that the sleeping bags, we got 2 king sleeping bags, and I've realised that the bottom one's just satch. So I've just shimmied it around so the wet patches at the bottom of the bed, and then put the damp one on the top of us and gone back to bed. But I didn't really expect that from a $1,300 tent, to be honest. Like, and yeah, there's definitely some user error that happened here.
I have a feeling it's all
But-
user.
Yeah, it's probably all user, but hey, I'll wear that. But yeah, making lemonade out of lemons. Sorry. Anyway, that was my kicker, and you won't let me live this down now, Caleb. You'll be like, oh.
No, I feel like for $1,300, you should be having the absolute most prime experience you could possibly have camping every time you use that thing. But
Admittedly, it did have a pretty good view from inside the tent.
yeah, I mean, when it's falling down around you, there's pretty good. It's a 360
something good
degree
about
view.
No, look, the first day, the first 2 days, or the first day, night, and second day was absolutely stunning, man. The beach was just a beautiful colour. The weather was stunning. Caught a few silver whiting. Just awesome.
You catch fish.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I always catch fish. No, not in South Australia. But you caught a few little silver whiting. It's the kind of thing we were actually watching about 100 metres off the beach. A whole heap of birds were just dive bombing into the water, like getting fish, obviously. And it was like, fuck, that's it. We're getting a tinny this summer, a rooftop tinny or a small tinny, so we can just launch off the beach and, burn out for like 300 metres, catch our fish, and then turn around and come home and we're good.
It doesn't always work like that, though. When I was fishing with Hainsey, you had the same thing, just all these birds just feeding off the top and just smashing the water. We're like, fuck yeah, we'll head over there and just bag out. Caught nothing.
Yeah, but you're unlucky. You're inherently unlucky. Like, your
Well,
luck is
depends,
terrible.
It depends what it is. There's this one things that, like, some things that I'm just terrible at or got pretty bad luck, but I don't know. Some other things I just
Winning
seem
shit,
to-
you're lucky, but
not all the time.
But Anything else, you're not lucky.
Would you try a drone first before you go the tinny?
Nah, man. Nah,
Crash into the water.
Because the plan is to eventually
Can't
get
use
up
his
to
iPhone.
like Darwin and shit. So, you know, the tinny's just going to be more versatile and see a bit more and do a bit more. And yeah, I'm pretty keen. I would like to get, I think it's the 3.7 metre. Can't remember what it is. It's a,
Tinny.
I can't remember the brand off the top of my head. That's all right. And I wouldn't mind the Mercury 25. Mercury have a new line of engines, and they're lighter. So I'm pretty keen.
Is that
keen.
is that where the podcast cast got expired from? Because you can see the bait fish. that come out there.
Well, yeah, sort of. Like I watched this Asian fella do it online the other day, and I'm like, actually, that would fucking work. So we're watching these birds, and I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm casting out that far. But I'm like, you know what? I'll try and get it out as far as possible. So I was like, I looked at my missus and was like, oh, watch this. And she started filming me, and I'm like, yeah, done the little ballerina twirl and tried to get a little bit of centrifugal force going, and yeah, it worked all right, actually.
I feel like there was some unnecessary twirls, though.
Nah.
I don't think they generated any speed.
Yeah, they did, 100%. If you felt, the rod and the weight, yeah, definitely, 100%.
Okay. Well, hopefully some of the listeners out there saw our story of when you were live down at the beach and did your little twirl.
Look, it was good.
What distance did you get on the cast? I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
If you've got to flick the bail.
Actually, heaps further than what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I reckon a normal cast, I'm sort of sitting at 50.
I don't reckon.
And
No way.
I reckon I was sort of sitting at 65, 70. It seemed like that anyway.
I reckon your normal's probably 30.
Nah, I'm pretty good with my little light Savage rod. It gets out there a fair bit. Yeah. It's not too bad at all. But
Fair
yeah,
enough.
okay, if I'm not putting any effort into it, yeah, like 30 metres. Having said that, all the fish were about 5 metres off the
that's
break.
always the way.
Every time.
Catch them when you're reeling in. What sinker were you running?
I think it was slightly bigger. It was like I tried a 45 ounce, and that was terrible. I was just getting all caught up in the waves. I don't know what weight it was, but it was the next size up. A little beach one with the little forks, little wire forks that you bend
The
around,
wire fork one.
catching
Yeah, I know that one.
catching the sand.
Stops it from coming back in the waves.
Yeah, and getting tangled up because I'm running mono, braid. Sorry,
Braid.
On that little light gear. Where beach fishing, I find that mono is a little bit better. But if you're flicking lures,
Braid's better. Fucking oath.
Yeah.
yep. That's been my experience anyway. Other people might have a different.
Like left to
completely
its
different.
device in seawater, I think braid tangles.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't run a beach rod?
Nah.
Didn't have space?
I've
'Cause
given
the
up
tent
the-
was taking up so much room in your car?
Nah, I've given up sort of on beach rods a little bit unless I'm down in Salt Creek.
Really? That's controversial for beach fishing. No more beach rod for you.
No, well, I find the Savage, like, unless you're flicking a beach rod fucking every month, it's almost like, well, it is a perishable skill and you just like a numpty at it. And by the time you've gotten good at it, it's time to pack up and go home. So I'm like, nah, I'll put the effort in when I know there's going to be a deep channel, 30, 40 metres out. But other than that, I mean, down where I was in the Yorks, it's pretty flat for a fair while. It doesn't actually get all that deep in relation to the two different locations.
And admittedly, neither of us fish enough to really sort of get proficient at one certain thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. But that'll change when we've got a boat. And I do feel like both of you are going to be like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm going out for some fish.
Oh, that's definitely on the cards if you're going to go boat.
Come on, then, invest, motherfucker.
I'm going to be like, yeah, but you got to stay in my RV3 with me.
Sure.
That's what I'll do on the phone.
I'm not staying in your fucking jizz stained bloody cum palace. That's damp. It's a hard pass from me, man.
That's the stipulations, my man.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, so you're out camping with your missus, and then how much time before we ended up getting together on the Friday? Like, did you race back or did you come back early Friday?
So no, we because we had packed up the night before because of the weather. We sort of just ginned around, had a coffee. We went into town. We got a ham cheese croissant and a banana bread,
I don't need your fucking life story. I asked you a question.
and then I burnt home.
Jeez. This is real mundane.
Sorry,
And then
Stop halfway for a shit. Had
Then
no
I'll-
toilet paper.
then
Use
I
my
washed
hands.
my hands.
yeah, well, and then I went home and pretty much unpacked the gear, repacked the gear to go away, and then went to yours, picked you up, and then went to Shannon's for the ADA deer camp.
Yep. So for those who don't know, we are part of the southeast branch of the 88, and
It's a good branch.
it's generally a 3+ hour drive for us. So Friday night we headed down together after we'd all finished work, and for the purposes of a deer count on Saturday morning and a meeting as well. So
The crazy thing is none of us had been to this particular property before, and trying to find it. And we had a friend drop pin the location, which was way off, like kilometres off.
Come on, man.
I mean, should we dump him in the shit or not?
No, there's not.
All right, well, he knows who he is.
He does.
His directions were shit.
But we pulled up. We're looking around for the entry point, which is just hard.
I'm so glad we didn't just go, nah, fuck it. This is where he pinned it. Let's go in.
Same, because there was gates exactly where he pinned it.
Yeah.
Big double gates. And, yeah, look, we ended up having to get the ADA website up and then try to follow ancient directions.
Poorly written.
Pull it described.
I mean, what was the giveaway at the gate was we already knew there were people there to the hut we were staying in. So when we pulled up to this pin drop location and saw no tyre tracks whatsoever heading to this gate, like, this is not the right place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was a bit, how you going?
Didn't help with the old man in the front just freaking out thinking about like, trespassing or who's that?
How I like so a cattle grid is a cattle grid, yeah?
That's a ramp, man.
But the way a cattle grid is described in the directions is a ramp. Go through 3 ramps. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
These are not ramps.
And these are not ramped
That's a
cattle
straight-
grids
straight
either.
cross.
They are straight. like
Actually, they're probably
flat.
one of the smoothest cattle grates we've crossed.
Yeah,
flattest cattle grid ever.
yeah.
And then
Cattle grid.
Cattle, we've all just fucked it up. He said cattle. He said cattle grate. I said cattle grid. It's just fucked.
what made it worse as well was the directions of the track and which way you go after you go through the ramp / cattle grid. Which we were hoping it was cattle grid because we were just like, yeah, there have to be. We'll just go through. And it's you're coming up, turn right, go across the cattle grid, turn left. So we go through, and this track just weaves right through and then turns left. And we're like,
No,
well,
it said turn right, left at second ramp.
yeah, it's
and we're like,
my bad.
Turn right, left.
does that mean turn directly left? Yeah. Like, what does that mean? But no, there was sort of like a bit of an S. What it should have said was just fucking
the
stay on the crack on the crack.
On the track.
Whoever wrote it was on the crack. Stay on the track.
Yeah.
Do not go off the track, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Definitely. It was definitely some navigating through that shit.
I was just more trusting. They're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was directing where the track went, I guess. So gave us some hope.
Yeah, yeah. And then we rocked up and had a beer and a nightcap. We had a wine, which was lovely.
Yes.
And then,
We did eventually when we got the cork out of it.
yeah, oh, that's true.
I was lucky to not cut off the end of my finger.
If you don't have a corkscrew, the best way to open a bottle of red wine with a cork is what do you use? A nail file to push the cork in.
I was using the nail file of a Leatherman just in the hope of just stabbing into it so I can turn and pull. and hopefully it'll work. But before that, I used like a sort of serrated blade thing. I'm like, oh, being cutting edge, you'd be able to slide it in.
You had the pliers in it, man.
No, that was, let me get
That
to
was
it.
later on.
Oh, sorry.
Come on, fucking hell. And then I found out this here was the locking mechanism that holds the blade out is screwed. And any pressure sort of sideways, it'll just flip it. And luckily it stopped touching the end of my finger. Any more, I was sitting there thinking about it afterwards, any more pressure and it would just cut into my finger or off. Just the last 10 mil of my finger. And then you know how you know that could have been a lot worse? And you sit there and your fingers are just, you start feeling it and you're like, oh, fucking hell, imagine if that happened right now. How much pain I'd be in. So I decided to switch to the nail file. That was a little safer. And that wasn't working. It just sort of pushed it in. Then it just needed more penetration to get the cork in just because I'm like, fuck it, I'll just push it all the way through. And nothing was working. So we got the 10 peg out.
It worked. And I actually assumed when we were pouring with the cork in the body of the bottle that it would just block the wine from coming out. But you spun the bottle upside down and the cork just went to the top. So it was actually perfect. So
I think
if you can't get the cork out, push it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sat sideways on the wine and never blocked it. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
There's a life hack for
What-
you.
what-
10 peg the fucking red wine bottle and you're all right.
what you go through just to have a wine at deer count.
It's better than our attempt back in when we used to live together.
Oh, yeah, we totally
We
destroyed it.
mutilated
Yeah.
that thing and there was bits of cork all through the wine.
Oh, I've seen people use drill bits. Like, just don't.
That'll work if you don't go all the way through, maybe.
If you don't go all the way through.
Yeah. But if you go all the way through, you're fucking pushing all that shit in.
I feel like a Leatherman, though, should have
A corkscrew.
a corkscrew on.
Well, a Swiss Army knife
Yeah,
would.
Swiss Army knife.
So maybe they're onto something. Because you always,
The Swiss, no, mate.
you always, as a kid, you're like, what the fuck have they got a wine cork remover
It's
in
a
here?
European design thing versus where's Leatherman from? US?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it is.
There's
Yeah,
less of
true.
a wine culture. I'm
So if
just
you
going
want-
to go with that.
So you want a wine cork remover, corkscrew? Don't buy the
Wine cork remover.
One cork remover.
don't buy the sidekick from Leatherman.
Oh, dear. They've got a lifetime warranty, don't they?
Yeah, I was thinking about sending it back
Yeah, send it back.
because that thing's it's dangerous.
It is. It's not the most dangerous thing that we've done, but like, your finger would have been.
That would have been, I'd have been fucked. I was
would've
sitting there thinking
laughed
about
at
it.
you.
If I did it, and like, what do you do? It's already off. You just fucking heat up something to sear it and stop it bleeding. Just-
Can I be the one that does that to you? You know when you're getting a splinter out and like your missus comes over and tries to get out and you're like, no, just let me do it.
oh, someone else does
Because
it. It hurts more.
I know where the pain threshold is.
Exactly. And you know exactly when to expect it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know how hard you're pushing.
Yep.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I reckon that was the worst thing as a kid when your old man's just like, I'll get the splinter out for you. And you're like, fuck. No, because exactly what we've just said. You know where the point where you've stuck it in enough to hit nerves.
Yeah.
Or you know that you're pushing the splinter further in and not actually grabbing it.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, this shit, fucking, because I copped the fucking needle getting the splinters out. And then when my younger siblings were getting splinters, there was this shit called magnoplasm that mum and dad had a jar of, which is this goop you just put on a splinter and it just like draws it out. So like my younger sisters, they get a splinter, they just walk around with this goop on their fucking finger and then this splinter would just magically be drawn out by this stuff.
Oh, so it works.
So they never had to go through the fucking needle trauma that I did.
Just like the needle just digging it out. You're making a
no.
gouge in your finger just to get this piece of
You
wood
don't
out.
want your old man digging around in your flesh for fucking
Yeah.
No.
I think they partly enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. They're like, this
You're
is for
screaming
being-
away like, stop
this
being a
is for
bitch.
being ratty the last week and all shit. Come here. Oh, dear. But the deer count was good. Saw some deer.
We did.
Actually, it was a good little property.
Yeah, yeah. Not big, but
The hardest thing would be to get to the deer after you see him because it's all open pretty well.
yeah.
Unless you're confident with a 400 to 500 shot, then you'd be able to be sweet. But yeah, I can see the biggest problem with that property is just space and just open.
It's a bit of perennials, so lying down would be difficult. You'd have to sort of take it seated or kneeling or something because it was pretty high at the moment. Obviously, different periods of
Or if you had some
different times of the
shooting
year.
sticks.
The That would work.
Hey. I mean, anyway, it was good to see a new property that we hadn't seen before, and then the hut that was there actually was pretty good actually. Like,
Yeah, it was nice.
That's probably the better hut I've seen.
nice condition, nice shower, which we didn't use, but it's nice to know it's there.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
go
swagged it for the night. It's probably 3 degrees.
Oh, that was
Bomb said it was 3 to 6 degrees, and I'm going to assume it was closer to 3 because when I got up there was fucking ice on my swag.
yes. It was fucking cold for the time of the year.
What? See, I don't feel it in my sleeping bag.
No,
I mean,
cold.
I wasn't cold, but I'm just saying when we got up in 5 fucking a.m. in the morning, there was ice on the outside of my swag.
I knew it was cold packing up the swag at 8, and just the bar was freezing. Just chilled my bones.
Yeah, right.
It was cold.
I didn't take notice of it.
We did camp in long grass. We
did,
set up swags in long grass, so it's automatically going to be cold.
Out in the long grass, bruh.
No rain got in, which was nice.
Yeah.
How'd you go?
I'd have drawn my sleep.
No use error on the old double swag.
Nah, it was pretty good. Having said that, I got the Darchie, and it's like a double. I'd kind of, for these trips, I do want to get a single swag.
Yeah.
Something smaller.
It is much more convenient and takes up less space.
Yeah.
Would have had half the ute space still if we all had singles.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't want, you've got a Jolly. It's Dad's old one. I had the same one when I was a kid. I don't really like it because there's no, like, it doesn't really get high off your body. Like, there's 2 loops at either end, and then you just got your tie down points onto the ground on a peg. There's no, like, spreader bar in the middle.
So you want
that
a center.
pulls up.
You want a center.
So
thing.
I want a single, but in the same format as the Darchie.
More like one Steve's got. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea what brand that is, but
Yeah.
when I walk past it, I'm like, yeah, there's no way the fucking walls of the thing are touching you while you're sleeping. Whereas
Yeah.
mine, the old ancient Jolly, it touches you.
Yeah.
That's where I think even the King swag can be better.
Yeah.
Is a center support.
Yeah.
Well, there is a hack for fucking stringing it up to stop the sides from sagging.
Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah.
Well, so instead of just, you know how it's got that the end flaps and you put your fucking guy rope through that, you actually just put a rope through and spread it over and go sort of, I don't know, half. So imagine the center point, go around halfway down to the ground. You put a rope up through either side of the center point and then back down to the ground, and it actually holds it out.
Pulls the sides
Yeah.
taut.
Yeah. So imagine where the sides are that sort of sag
That makes
down.
sense. Yeah.
I've seen a guy do it. There's a video on YouTube. It's like a hack for stopping the king swags from.
Yeah, because they sag in a fair
They
bit.
do. They do. So without even getting an extra bar, you just got to change up how you're roping it down, and it stops the sides from sagging.
But you're talking about the Kings with the centre pole.
Yeah.
So all I do is to keep my sides open is instead of, like, you got the flap that the tie-off point goes to the tent peg, I go, instead of going back onto the rope, I actually go through the peg and then to an off side of the bar, hook it onto the bar,
And that does
then
the
I
same
do
thing.
the opposite side on the other end of the swag, and it actually just, and you pull it tight.
Yeah.
Like, you draw it tight, and it actually pulls the sides off. Like,
I wonder if
naturally.
actually pegging the 4 corners would actually achieve that same thing. Because I never do that.
Yeah, I've tried pegging the corners. You really need something pulling in those 2 points. So you need 4 points of pulling rather than 2 points of pulling. I'm explaining this terribly, but there are videos that exist. Just Google it. There's a fucking hack for making
Google knows.
king swags not sag and touch you while you're sleeping.
Yeah, probably be handy. Did you feel it at all? What, with the sides touching you? Because 3 degrees is pretty cold.
You know, I had a solid night's sleep, man. Honestly, I didn't. I was quite warm.
Oh, that's all right. What bag are you running?
The brand is Caribou and it's rated to 0 degrees.
Is that it?
Oh.
Yep.
Fucking
I
hell.
don't even know the brand of mine, but it's rated at -5.
Yeah. I was toasty, man.
Yeah, you see,
And I slept in my jocks.
is that comfort rating or is that extreme? So it could be 0 comfort and extreme's like -5.
I think it's
Mine's
zero.
comfort -10.
It's comfort 0.
Comfort 0, yeah. So it'd be extremely rated.
How
to
cold do you
negative-
run when you're
negative
sleeping? You got a comfort
No,
minus
see, I don't
10, and then you
use.
got a hot water bottle.
I don't use I don't zip it up. I just use it as a blanket. And the hot water bottle is just to warm the feet up. Because at the moment, for the last 12 months, I've been running with wet feet, so it's nice.
Yeah, you need to
chucking
get
the
some
whole
boots.
water bottle down.
Why do you not zip your thing up?
I don't need to. It's fucking
I
boiling.
don't
fair
zip
enough.
mine up either.
Yeah, -10. It's fucking extremely hot. Anywhere in, I've used it in the whole of Australia and Afghanistan in winter, and I was never been cold with it.
No, that's what you want.
And it's a softie. I highly recommend softies. Highly recommend.
Well, they go in the army
Yeah.
for sure.
Very good. Well, I mean, we counted some deer and then we made our way off to the meeting, which was good. It's a good meeting, good turnout. It's
always a few
it's
there.
always strange rocking up to a fucking hut in the middle of the bush. And then all of a sudden there's like 80
people.
cow, 80 fucking full drives. And you're like, wow.
Ford Ram.
Talking about the meeting, like in the ADA meeting, they do like a bit of a presentation of the like any heads that have been taken,
It's a Dodge Ram. Right?
Yeah, I said it. I'm like,
and how fucking nice was that Roosa? There was a Roosa head there. Oh man,
Symmetrical as fuck.
holy shit!
was-
Mass, length, like not the best, but holy crap, it was nice.
and it was like mirror images. There was nothing different about it.
Yeah, the symmetry is what got me.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. You'd froth some nuggets over that shit. Yeah, 100%.
What does that even mean?
Have you ever heard of Froth Nugget? It's a t-shirt brand. Jesus, you guys
but
live
I've
in
heard
the
of
fucking
Froth Nugget.
80s.
Relate it to what you're saying.
I heard of Froth Nugget as a brand, but I've never heard of it broken down to Froth and Nugget.
I'm trend setting.
Trend setting and not speaking into the microphone. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, you're asking me questions when I'm getting a beer, mate. I'm thirsty.
Sorry, it was a question without notice. But what we should mention is settle down.
So I know where you're going. Oh, yeah.
Some of the points that were raised were quite important, and there was a few in relation to the ADA specifically, but one that was brought up was the proposed ban on bow hunting in South Australia, which the ADA, well, it's fucked, and the ADA is, obviously involved in hunting and is intent on fighting the ban. So they're doing their little bit to fight it, basically. So we discussed as a wider group while we were there, members on the floor, some strategies and there were some good points raised in how it can be fought. And some of those are obviously fucking sign the petition and get that back, which we brought up in our last episode. So make sure if you haven't done that, get on and do that. But a really good idea I thought that was raised from the floor was actually approaching some of the bow hunting companies, especially in the States, because they've probably seen some of these cases before. And once you start getting corporate entities involved and it's starting to affect their livelihood in terms of sales of bows into our state or our country, then they're going to start going, well, fuck, we're going to put some backing behind this as well. So I think that was a really good suggestion, but certainly it's something we're very passionate about because, and I think one of the most important points that was raised in that, all right, this is this is targeting bow hunting in the short term.
Yeah.
But then once they've targeted bow hunting, if everyone just rolls over and lets this happen, then it's going to move on to the next thing, which is probably going to be hunting with a rifle.
Well,
Probably duck hunting. then.
probably
Or
duck or
pig.
dog hunting or something like that.
Either way, we want to stop the rot now and stop the progression, and we certainly don't want it to be an easy thing to get it banned in SA. We want to fight it.
See, the progression of this on a broad scale in the shooting community has already started. And we all know once it's gone, the chances of getting it back
Oh, it just won't be.
is very, very slim to none. And this is how the Greens or any parties that are sort of aligned with that or greased by the Greens' pockets, they do it. They do that. They play the long game. They'll chip away at the tiniest thing, and then over time, over a 10-year period, they've reached their immediate goal of banning, something altogether. And I think this is definitely a result from what's happened in Tassie. I think someone here has got a tap on the shoulder, been like, it's happened. Let's see if we can carry it on to the next place, make it happen. And you've raised a good point in the car today, Shannon, actually, of how it wasn't publicly known in the last campaign. The whole...
All right. Let me get into that then. So this ban's coming from the Deputy Premier and Minister for Environment, Susan Close. She was stating that it was an agreement made for the election of her campaign.
It's an election promise.
Yeah, election promise. And there was an article posted today, actually, stating that when she was pushed about it, she was confirmed that the banning of bow hunting is not in the 2022 policy for their agreement, and it was more of a behind-the-doors sort of handshake agreement with Animal Justice Party. So it just makes you wonder, one, they're going to make the behind deals there. What else are they making?
Yeah. The disturbing thing that came up in the meeting at the ADA was actually so we've got a Labor Party here in South Australia. There are duck hunters in the Labor Party that support the bill.
Yeah.
Pun not intended.
Admittedly, they're probably doing that to try and keep themselves in the clear of all this fucking bullshit. But
Well, more than likely, they're like, we won't come after duck hunting. But
you can't make
it's
a deal
sleight
with
of
the
hand
devil.
thing. You can't. You know, they're going to come after it. And this is where hunters need to band together, no matter what form of hunting you do, or even outdoor sort of activities that you do. You need to band together because they'll come for everything. Fucking oath they will.
100%. Like if you don't give a shit about bow hunting, but you're a hunter, then care because it's only a matter of time before your favourite method of hunting is coming after.
I think one example that I thought of was us hunting community has got to act like a family in a way that if our little brother or big brother or whatever's picked on, we'll back them up. Regardless if we get along with our little brother or not all the time, no one else is allowed to pick on him. And the same goes for bow hunting or duck hunting or hound hunting or anything like that. It doesn't really matter what aspect of hunting you do. We all enjoy the same sort of...
We're a family.
Yeah.
So let's start.
We all enjoy it, so back
working
each other
together.
up. Get amongst it.
It's disappointing to see. Now, we all know that bows have been around for a long time. They've actually been around for 71,000 years, and they date back to the Sumerians using bows. And how can you stop a tradition that has been going on that long and at some point in our history is a building block of how we survived and thrived? How can you just push aside that history and try to make this legislation in banning a bow?
Yeah, it's a tradition. Like,
It is.
what other tradition would you want to shut down like that?
Yeah, is it? I don't know.
I'm quite interested in what the rationale behind banning it is. I mean, are they saying that, well, we live in a modern society with supermarkets, there's not a need for it anymore?
So this was pushed by the RSPCA. They deem, because bow hunters and a lot of rifle hunters and all that will go for a chest shot, and they deem chest shots as inhumane and cause unnecessary pain and suffering to the animal. Where they encourage, or they believe, RSPCA believe that people should be taking headshots. Now,
With a
I'm
bow,
sure-
that's a bad
I'm sure
idea.
bows and rifles, we all know the complications of a headshot. So I'm not going to get into it, but
Well, no, let's get into it. We've all seen, like, even with a rifle, that projectile hit the skull and blow out that bottom jaw, and the animal's still standing there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's no catastrophic damage to its nervous system or its major organs. It's just missing the fucking jaw.
and not to say that a headshot isn't possible. It's just, from my opinion, got a bigger margin of error.
Yeah, a lot bigger.
There's less margin of error
Yeah, that's the one.
because it's a smaller target area.
Yeah.
And the whole point here is that as hunters, we practice and we hone our skills so that, yep, there probably are some people that can take headshots every day of the week and never miss. But at the end of the day, you're shooting a live target that can move at the last second. So you've got to take these things into account. That's why you go for something with less margin error, which is chest and lungs.
Yeah.
Heart and lungs, sorry. Or chest shot.
It's one of those things where I guess what you just touched on then, would you be opposed in a licensing and a course to do it? Look, to me, if we can keep our sport and that's what you got to do, okay, I get it. You know, so there's a bit of education behind using a bow and hunting with a bow properly. So you're at least at a basic level when you go out and hunt. I get that. And if it meant keeping the sport, I'd be for it. Do I think it's a necessary requirement? No, because most people, they're not just going to pick up a bow and fucking cowboy it up that night and try and start shooting shit. Most people. There are a few that ruin it for the masses.
I'm not sure if it should be a license thing, but there definitely should be programs
Or a
there.
hunter education course.
Yeah, a course is there for experienced bow hunters to teach what they know to people that are getting into it. And I think just not that everyone will go to it, but it gives the option for someone to learn off an experienced hunter.
I don't see anything wrong with it as sort of a mediation point or a mid ground to this whole thing of, you know, at the moment you can go out and hunt with a bow and just go buy a bow and go out and do it, right? I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to have some sort of a permit or a licensing for bow hunting or a minimum age or
Unless it's unless it shot multiple arrows at, you know, simultaneously or one after the other without any effort.
is this some sort of semi-automatic joke? Fucking hell. Anyway,
It's like a Gatling gun and bows.
but back to my point, I don't see if there's anything wrong with introducing that as a minimum or some sort of a mid ground, but certainly banning it wholesale I think is fucking ridiculous because all it is there's been some negative cases that have popped up in the media and there's been the one brought up about the seal or the fucking, we mentioned it, the roo running down Rundle Mall with a fucking arrow sticking out of its head.
Or the cat.
Or the cat or, you know, whatever else. But that is just the nature of the beast in terms of there's always a fuckwit in any sort of lifestyle, recreational sport, whatever. There's always going to be those people.
Yeah, people drink drive. You know, people stab people with fucking knives and spoons and shit. Like, whatever tool is available, people are going to abuse it.
There's an option to misuse it if you so choose. So I think there's plenty of education out there. There can be more regulated education for people or more restrictions around it, but I think banning it is not the answer.
Do you think that they should have courses and licensing, or do you think it should just be squished?
I can understand the reasons behind licensing the stuff because I saw a comment today. It was about if we did make it a licensed item, it would stop those people that just buy it off a whim and they use it once or twice at something just out on a walk or whatever.
Yeah, like you take your fucking, I don't know, 15, you buy a bow, you buy a target, and then you see something run past and you take a poke at it and then you fucking miss it or you maim it or whatever, then I can see where those scenarios happen. But that's just someone being young and stupid.
Yeah. But I don't believe in if they put pressure on us, we give them something back kind of thing. Like why should we give them a licensing thing? Because they've put a little bit of pressure on us.
Yeah, and especially for the few cases out of many, many years of bow hunting in Australia, I don't think it warrants. I personally don't think it warrants any sort of restriction or licensing. Hunters' education, though,
That should be readily available in some way.
We're talking about something that's gone from 0 to 10, though. We've gone from no regulation to a complete ban.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with Couchy, though. Like, why give them something just because they're trying to fucking poke the beast?
Well, I mean, that's just mediation, trying to find...
That's mediation, but at the start, unless it came to it, I just don't agree with it because this is how they do they did the semis and their whole gun control. They're like, oh, we'll let you have some, but... we get some others. And then suddenly, over progression over the next 30 years, suddenly you have to justifying in a fucking 10-page document about why you want a new fucking rifle.
Let me clarify my statement then. I think the first thing to do is fight it and just basically get them to shove it up their fucking ass. But if it comes to it and it keeps dragging out and out and out and out, then I don't see anything particularly wrong with some more regulation or some sort of a license for bow hunting.
So what if
I don't think people should have a license to buy a bow and shoot a target. But to buy a bow and then go hunting with it, I'd be open to a license.
The problem with that though is they'll push again. And what do you give them then?
Yeah, the next
Because
stage.
you gave them something last time. They push again, they'll expect something else.
Yeah.
They know if we keep pushing at them, they'll cave and they'll give us something else.
So I think fighting it, but
Oh, for
fighting
sure.
it united as hunters, as a collective, and not individual groups and factions and rifle hunters and bow hunters and whatever else. I think just the whole community as a whole needs to be like, no, this is fucked. We're fighting this, and present a united front, and with the same reasoning as well. That's the most important thing, because there's no point people going back. And this was brought up in the ADA meeting, there's no point one branch of the ADA responding to something with one message and then another branch responding with a different message. It needs to be a united message, basically, to fight this thing.
And I don't think it needs to just come from South Australia as well, or from Australia alone.
If you're a hunter, well, obviously Australia's having a voice from Australia is imperative.
Yeah, but I think we need, because obviously it started in Tas. Now it's coming to SA. It's going to go to different states. If more states they have, the quicker it's going to spread through Australia. And the quicker it's going to spread outside of Australia as well, with how many countries use Australian gun laws as a model with where they want to head. So I think it sort of involves not just South Australians, but Australians. And it'd be great to get international involved as well. That will come through brands and...
Well, yeah, this is a big thing. If a brand was willing to, obviously give X amount of money to the cause, then you'd be able to grease some Polly's pockets and be like, shut the fuck up. That's how it works, man. That's how it works.
Unfortunately,
If you
that's
put a
the
50
reality
in
of
your
it.
pocket, you're not going to talk, are you? Well, 50,000.
Unfortunately, the reality is that's how the world works. But you'd like to think that some rational thought and addressing some of the points that have been raised with counter arguments that are logical and well thought out and presented would get the job done.
But it won't.
Yeah.
It won't.
But it could.
Well, it could, and that's the way that we've got to fight it. You are correct. We've got to be professional and put some good counter arguments to them.
It's the first port of call, and especially in this day and age where minorities who fucking make a lot of noise get a lot of traction with their fucking agendas. I think this is the time where hunters who, let's be honest, in the wider community of Australia, they are a minority, need to make a lot of fucking noise and go, hey, we're not copping this.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, they say that the squeaky wheel gets a grease. So
It does, and that's why the greens has got a lot of traction because they're just squeaky.
yeah,
They just make
and
a lot
they're
of
not
noise.
ashamed of it either. They'll just
Because they
keep
believe
pounding
in
it.
they believe in what they do, and unfortunately, we have this culture in the gun community in Australia where you just be quiet and like you don't say anything, and hopefully you'll just fly under the radar.
Agreed. I think at the end of the day, people need to realise, as a proficient bow hunter, how much time, not that I'm a bow hunter, by the way, but the amount of time and effort these guys put into to practicing, like that is, you just see it. Like anyone who's a bow hunter, they're just fucking sending arrows at targets to fucking hone their
day
skill
in, day out.
day in, day out, and probably even more so than rifle hunters. I would hesitate to say, because there is often an accessibility factor that they can do that more so than you can with a rifle.
Oh, and you fire an arrow, you retrieve it from your target, costs you nothing.
Correct.
Well, still costs.
So
well,
there's scope
you can
to
still-
practice it even more than with a rifle.
Yeah, look, I get that. Then there's Archery Park and various archery ranges close to the city, and you're right. 100% they're practicing more, and the skill itself is a lot harder than rifle shooting. In say, if you're shooting, your max distance for rifle shooting is 100 meters. Within that, the rifle takes care of a lot of shit, like a lot of error.
Just through firepower alone.
Yeah, just through
Yeah.
its propellant, the speeds and the projectile and things. But regardless of whether you're a bow hunter or a rifle hunter, you know, you're running dogs, whatever, there's still nothing's ever perfect, like you said before. Like nothing unfolds in reality perfectly. So practice is key. See, I personally think it's so you get these people that you mentioned before that will buy a bow and go out and start hunting like immediately or whatever. See, to me, that's not a restriction issue, a licensing issue or anything like that. And I've said it time and time again, it's an educational issue. If we had a bit more education that is readily available to the public and the culture of the general public is a little more accepting to it through education, well, people aren't just going to be so novice. They're not going to make stupid errors as much if we change our culture a little bit and educate them.
I think the education and cultural acceptance comes hand in hand. The more you educate, the more the cultural acceptance happens because they understand. And that's the biggest problem with the RSPCA, Susan Close, and Animal Justice Party is they don't really understand the hunting aspect side of things and how clean it can be, or how clean it is and how much effort hunters put into to make that clean kill. There's no one else that'll want that clean kill more than a hunter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
and I believe they were using like arrows, ethically, don't kill an animal, you know, quick enough or whatever their argument was. Something that has come a long way with rifle shooting is bullet technology, like projectile technology. It's the same thing with bows, right? And Blood Origins put a video up, and at the end he described it perfectly. Your broadheads are designed to cause a catastrophic failure in their organs when they're hit to bring the animal down as quick as possible.
and that all can be seen on ashbybowhuntingfoundation.org.
Yeah.
If anyone's keen to look at it.
Yeah. And like, look, I was probably a bit naive between the two as well at a stage in my life where it was like, oh, a rifle's cleaner. But over the years of hunting, you can shoot a rifle an animal with a rifle in, you know, your heart, lungs area, and the thing's still going to run. You know, it's dead, right? It's dead. It's just bleeding out. But it still might run 100 metres or whatever and then keel over. So
That's pure adrenaline, though. That's not.
That is.
It's not in pain. It's not suffering. That's the point.
yeah. And animals don't feel pain like we feel. If they did, they would probably all die because we are pretty soft as a species, to be perfectly honest. I mean, you got to think these animals, they live in the scrub, in the elements 24/7. They're walking through prickles and everything.
I wouldn't say they don't feel pain, but the pain
The same
threshold,
scale.
the pain
as
threshold
us,
is
yeah.
a lot higher.
So the same scales are completely different. I mean, you can brand a cow and, you know, it's going to be like, yep, oh, I felt it, but that's about it. It's not going to cry over spilt milk.
Oh, and the same as like horses kick the shit out of each other and they'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. You know, a human gets kicked by a horse and you're fucked.
fucked.
You're fucked, champ. So you got to take all this into consideration. And I think the Greens and these parties that are invested in banning hunting are just putting way too much empathy and emotion on the animal. They think that the animal thinks and feels like a human. Now, a domesticated animal, yeah, it's going to have some character, but it's fucking domesticated, right? So it's living a good life. Like my dog sleeps inside, eats regularly, you know, gets washed every now and then.
Has ADHD.
Hey?
Has ADHD.
Yeah, has some anxiety issues, you know.
Gets brushed once every 3 months.
That's all because I'm putting him in that situation, right? If he was a wild animal, he would not be the same temperament. It would not be the same dog.
It'd probably be a lot hardier just from adapting to the environment he's subjected to. Like, my dog's a fucking pussy, but it's because my missus lets him inside every 2 seconds.
He wears clothes, your dog.
Correct. He
wears
wears
fucking clothes.
Yeah, whereas if he just got used to being cold, he wouldn't get cold.
Yeah. It's
But
What's
terrible.
the saying? Like, you are directly of what your environment is, kind of thing.
you adapt to it, man.
Yeah.
Like when we went to the snow, for example, the first night we were fucking freezing. Once we got used to it, it was like, okay. It was colder as we got into it.
yeah.
So you adapt to your surroundings.
Yeah.
And animals are the same. Like, you know, and I don't like the fact that we're putting so much just emotion into wild animals when they're here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to feed us, really.
But yet, like, the thing that I find weird about understanding is they'll advocate for 1080 bait, which is an indiscriminate way of killing animals left, right, and centre, and there's no way of telling what eats it, when it eats it, and how quick it dies. That's pretty slow death.
Yeah, what a way to die.
An arrow to a chest is way quicker than 1080.
Did you know we're the only country to still allow bait? 1080?
It doesn't surprise me.
Well, yeah, it's banned in like all the other Western countries. Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I think there's a form of Roundup that we only use as well.
That's not
Other countries
surprising.
have banned it.
That's not surprising at all.
Anyway,
Just a
that's a
quick fact.
slow, painful death.
Yeah.
It is. And
And it kills their natives.
see, I find that there's a lot of misinformation on. So I had a fella asked me once to come shoot some rabbits down at Morgan because they were getting out of control. The council ended up doing a letterbox drop and saying they were going to bait the rabbits because it was a bit of an area sort of problem, not just his property. And he went in online and Googled 1080 because they sort of were a bit more in favour of shooting. And the council on the website for the local council, they actually stipulated, and I believe they lied. I'm no expert, but it's poison at the end of the day. But they said it will only fucking target the rabbits. Nothing like if a bird eats it can't die from it. This and that. And I'm like, well, wait a second. This animal's ingesting poison, so if it dies and it's relatively fresh, and something comes and eats it, surely the poison will last X amount of time in its system and transfer to the animal, whatever's eating it. Now, it could be a dog, like the neighbour's dog or their dog or something like that. I don't know how true this is, but my theory on poison is it would, it has the possibility to transfer into another animal. I don't know. And once again, it's slow.
Yeah.
It's not a quick death.
It's a pretty gruesome death as well.
Yeah. So I'm no expert, and if there's anyone out there in fucking radio land that knows a bit more about 1080, I'd actually like to be educated on it. Because when he spoke about what this website, the council's website, was telling him about 1080, I'm like, well, that just, in my mind, it sort of defies logic.
Yeah, they're going to play it down because the problem with these days is everyone's so emotional about everything. So if you play out the exact steps of how 1080 is going to kill an animal, everyone will try and ban that
Yeah.
because it's just indiscriminate and in a way it's inhumane.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So,
Yeah.
but I guess the one thing I wanted to point out as well is how I guess the RSPCA say it's inhumane in the way that the animal can feel stress and pain when you shoot him through the chest with an arrow or a bullet or whatever it is. But I forget the definition I was given about inhumane, but it's about receiving undue pain and stress before death. But then what do we compare that to apart from nature?
Well, if we compare it to nature, it's fucking a lot better than nature. Nature's brutal, bro.
brutal.
I mean, if they're going to die of old age, it ain't pretty. Like, they'll die of disease or just they're getting old and they can't eat, or they get disease in their gut. That's a brutal way to die, man, and it's slow.
Or,
Brutal slow.
age comes with degradation of teeth, so therefore they starve to death because they can't process their food.
Yeah.
Or they just get eaten alive by predators.
Yeah. at a point, like, not so much here in Australia because, our predators are typically scavengers. But, in the States, like, if it's fucking not eating and it's starving to death, well, a bear's going to come along and rip it to fucking shreds. Like, because it's an easy pick.
Yeah.
Like, minimum fucking effort for maximum result.
And it'll still be alive while it's still
Yeah.
it's getting its insides eaten.
Yeah. Metal. One of our mates, Steve, put us on a metal is nature.
Nature is metal.
Like, and that is brutal, man. Like seeing some of like lions fucking take down plains game and things in Africa, and like the animals' back legs are getting eaten, and it's still trying to crawl away as its guts and its legs are just
Yeah, usually one
Just
lion or something's got it by the throat and just holding it, either wait until it suffocates or bleeds out.
yeah. Well, I've seen videos of them eating like just. They're eating the animal while it's still crawling away. Like nothing's on its front. Its front's fine and it's still trying to crawl away with its back just being chewed apart. You know, that's brutal. That's messed up.
How can you say a death within even 5 minutes isn't humane?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to ban animals from themselves?
Take the horns away.
Yeah. That's the other thing. I mean,
claw the kitty cats.
you think of
Ban sharp teeth?
like elk, you know, reds or whatever, like fighting, and they're sticking each other. Like they're going in, 4 or 5 inches plus, like into their body. And those animals are still surviving with a gaping wound in their guts or their legs or something like that.
Speaking of surviving and nature is metal.
Surviving 4 inches.
Anyway,
Josh's sex tape. Sorry, I had to.
on one of the stories, they showed this ram just walking along this road, and this car come up beside it, and it wandered to the left, and they come up right beside it, and this ram was like devil sheep or ram or something, whatever it is. It must have, in fighting with another ram, had damaged and his head got infected, and literally the skull through to almost its nose was visible. It was just the infection was eaten away of its head, and this thing was still cruising around as if it was fine. So, like, what the fuck?
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, nature is brutal as fuck. So I don't think,
Would you survive?
well, as a what?
Naked.
As a wildebeest, as a lion.
No, as you are naked in nature.
I mean, I'd die from sunburn just for, if anything else. Don't worry about starvation.
Yeah,
I'll just
probably.
die from fucking heat stroke and bloody sunburn. Oh, shit. But anyway, I think something that's important for us to do is speak to the people at large, or certainly some people who are more experts in the field of bow hunting. And that's why, I mean, we're hijacking our own episode, weirdly, and we're not doing a title and a topic breakdown, rather. We're actually going to just dedicate this entire episode to leaving our bows alone, and we're going to talk to some bow hunters in Australia and give them a call and get them on the podcast live for their hot take on what they reckon about this bow hunting ban in South Australia. So first person we're going to give a call is Aaron Whitaker.
Hey, Ron.
So we'll patch him in and have a bit of a chat with Aaron.
Patch him in.
Hey,
Hey, Ron. Good stuff.
Aaron, you've got all three of us from Centre Mate Podcast. How you going, man?
yeah, not too bad. How's everyone?
Be good.
Yeah, we're loving it. We've gone into a bit of a discussion about bow hunting and the proposed ban in South Australia. So cheers for agreeing to take our call, man. We thought we'd give you a call and sort of get your hot take on what do you reckon about the ban?
Yep, no, it's good to be on here, and yeah, we'll go through what about do you want to know about it? Like, what are you thinking?
Well, first, I want to know, you're a bow hunter, but how
Yep.
much of that, like how much bow hunting do you actually do?
Yeah, I do a lot. Like, every time I'm out, I'll have a bow with me, or at least in the car, ready to go.
Yep. So it's your primary hunting method, basically.
Yeah, pretty well. I've done both, but yeah, I'll take the bow most days. Just a bit more of a challenge.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot more of a challenge. Jesus. So you're a bow shooter and you're not in good old Radelaide.
Nah, I'm in Wylie, yeah, so not far away.
Yeah. So like obviously you've heard about the ban. And what's your
Yep.
opinions on it?
Well, yeah, sort of trying to figure out like where it sort of all comes from. All I've heard about is sort of that seal incident that everyone sort of knows about. But yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. Like, there's not much point really banning it all because the bad publicity everyone's getting is from illegal hunting anyways. It's not actually hunters that are doing any of this damage.
Well, I can give you a bit of a background of sort of where, as far as I know, where it's come from. So Susan Close is a MP in Adelaide. She's done some sort of behind the sort of scenes deals with Animal Justice Party. And
Yeah, okay.
that's all getting backed up by RSPCA, who are claiming that, because obviously all arrow hunters will generally go for chest, so heart lung.
Yep.
And they're claiming that that is inhumane and they die a slow, cruel death.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate any more on that in your opinions?
Yeah, well, it's they're just going on opinions, not really education. I'd say so. Like, I've seen that many different animals get taken with a bow, and like 9 times out of 10, it's as quick as a rifle or just as humane. Anyways, like, it's no difference if you hit them where you need to hit them. Then the job's done. Usually under 10 seconds, it's over.
What sort of trauma are we talking about to the animal hit properly?
Trauma. I've seen them being hit and they don't know what's actually happened, and they've gone back to feeding before they've fallen over, and that's it.
Yeah, it's not the first time I've heard that, actually.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe incorrect understanding of what broadheads do is a part and parcel of their theory of being inhumane? Because obviously, broadhead technology is sort of leaps and bounds from where it was when they've been shivved out of fucking bone and rock, and they're designed to cause maximum sort of damage.
Oh, definitely, yeah. They're designed to be as sharp as possible, and the sharper it is, like, it's like if you cut yourself with a proper razor-sharp knife, you don't even realise until you're making a mess of the place. But yeah, like, I'm assuming a lot of them would think that bow hunters are shooting animals with field points or target arrows that are just going to stick in them and they're going to run off, but definitely not the case. If it's like passionate actual hunters, they take as much pride as they can to get a job done as quickly as possible.
Are you a mechanical broadhead fella or?
I have tried them in the past and they definitely work, but I've gone away from them and just go fixed blades because they're more durable and they just last longer.
Yeah, understandable.
Another thing as well is what's the sort of amount of practice you would put in before you go for a bow hunt?
Well, I usually try to practice most weeks. If I can, I'll sort of flat out at the minute, but if I've got a trip coming up, like the trip I just done up north, I'll practice every day for months on end, just so I know that when I get up there, I'm not going to make a fool of myself and mess it up. But yeah, the more you can, the better it is for yourself. I get pretty confident before you get out there.
We just had a discussion that we actually think bow hunters would practice more than rifle hunters. To be honest.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably a lot easier to get out and shoot with a bow compared to a rifle. Like, I could agree with you there. I shoot a lot of rifle as well, but the amount I actually shoot at a target is pretty minimal.
So, one more question. Would you be in support of licensing or a hunter's education to keep the sport going?
Oh, definitely. Like, it couldn't be a bad thing. Like, if you've got a permit or a license and you've done a course and you're competent, and I think it's a good thing. And I believe that should, for like the illegal activities, like it's already illegal to shoot native animals and that with a bow and arrow, but that's what you see mostly on the internet. That sparks people's emotions.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there should be possibly like harsher penalties for actually abusing that sort of rules. Yeah, I don't see a bad thing with any sort of permits or educations.
It's a bit of a trade-off, Aaron. We were sort of having a bit of a debate about it before, whether we give them anything basically, and they want a full ban, and we were sort of talking about whether we, as a mediation point, go, all right, well, no, we'll put some restrictions on bow hunting or a licensing in place as a sort of a mid ground rather than a complete ban, sort of meet in the middle sort of thing. But I guess where do you sort of stand with that? You've just said you'd be open to it as someone
Yep.
who already does it. Do you think that would weed out the yahoos a bit? Because that's sort of the only other thing I can think of as a benefit of it is, all right, if it's a bit harder, then only the people who genuinely want to go through the process will do it rather than
Yep.
it being accessible for everyone. The lowest common denominator dickhead who just goes and buys a bow and shoots, whatever they come across.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I suppose it sort of depends on how far they want to go. If it did come down to a permit, how far are they going to go? Like, a lot of people don't even bow hunt at all. They just go to archery club or just shoot targets. Do you go down and put permits on everything, or is it just for the hunting side of things, but leave it open to buy bows and arrows and parts altogether?
Yeah.
It's a hard one. It's going from like no regulation at all to I don't know how far you really want to go with it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously a complete ban is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I mean, I don't bow hunt, so I'm sort of coming at it from like, all right, maybe somewhere in the middle is where we should be, more
Yep.
in line with what rifle hunting is. But at any rate, I think probably education is the most important thing. But then, how do you educate? It's not something that we'd roll out in schools. So, if you shoot with a rifle, the education comes as part of your licensing process.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, is it a far-fetched idea to get it in schools? I mean, Victoria country schools have shooting programs, mate.
I can't see a world. Well, I can't see in Australia where that would be in schools.
Not with that attitude.
Well,
no.
I'm sorry, but the way the world's going and how things are, and especially having kids who are in primary school at the moment, I cannot see that they would deem it
I'm not
necessary.
talking about primary school. Like it's a high school thing.
If not schools, because schools are probably a bit hard with their curriculums and all the regulations they follow. But like our last guest, Logan, she runs these camps that do teach kids sort of the fundamentals of just, I guess, surviving and sort of living with the land kind of thing.
Kids that are interested.
Yeah, well, that's I guess the hardest thing is to try and get the people to understand they don't really know much about bow hunting and they need to learn more and get in to move into them programs. But yeah.
How popular is bow hunting where you are?
Oh, where I am in Wyler, probably not very. I only know maybe a couple of other people that actually do it, but
Yeah, that's Wyler, bro. Oh, jeez. What do you do down there for a crust?
I'm a heavy diesel mechanic in the mines.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very nice.
Makes
Very
sense.
nice. Yeah, it does.
Gets it done.
Oh, dear.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we've got to say a big thank you to you, Aaron, for your input. It's
Cheers, mate.
definitely a bit of a hot topic at the moment. So, cheers, man. Thank you for
No worries.
thank you for listening, and thank you for your little bit of input for this
Yeah,
episode.
thanks for having me on.
No dramas,
No worries,
man.
mate.
Yeah, pleasure.
Cheers.
All right, take it easy, guys.
Catch you later.
All right, catch you, bud.
See ya.
So up next, we're calling the Wildlifer. It's his handle on Instagram. This could be interesting. We don't actually know his first name.
He's not going to answer.
He's in bed.
Bedtime.
Hello, Jimmy speaking.
Hey, Van Wilder, you got the Send It Mate crew here.
Sorry, man. I missed your first name. What was it again?
Dylan.
Dylan. Ah, very good. This is the lovely thing about Instagram is we get all these fancy handles like the Wildlifer, and we're speaking to Dylan. Anyway, man, cheers for agreeing to talk to us. We've had a couple of people on so far. Just talking about this ban or proposed ban in South Australia in terms of bow hunting, and just interested to get your take on it, man. Your opinion, what you think as someone who's out there bow hunting.
With the reading I've done on it and trying my best to keep up with it, it's like all the things we see really, as far as I'm aware. With obviously some people who are doing the wrong thing, and nobody would really use the term bow hunter to describe those particular people, but because society hasn't got a really good idea of what a lot of us do and how hard we practice and all the rest of it. They think anybody who shoots an arrow into an animal is a bow hunter, regardless of whether it's whatever it is, a seal with a field point arrow hanging out of it or whatever. But I don't know. Like I understand the concern about archery or bow hunting maybe having a little bit more risk associated than other kinds of hunting, but I mean, there's risk in all kinds of hunting, and I also think it's interesting when the potential risk of harm to an animal is, people try to measure that or reference that when they're looking at banning hunting. And this is not a dig at farmers by any means, because I've got lots of exceptionally close friends who are farmers. But if we look at the way commercial meat is, I don't know, just the way, I'm not saying animals are raised unethically much in Australia, but just in the grand scheme of things, like I've been to abattoirs before and I'm not remotely offended by them. In fact, I think it's a wonderful industry. But if we're going to make comparisons about risk and harm and suffering to animals, man, it's really interesting that the finger gets pointed at bow hunters, who are a very small group of people in Australia. And there's, a lot of things happening in the bigger picture that society's not particularly concerned about. I find that thing interesting when we make comparisons in that way, I suppose.
Do you think maybe that they're going after bow hunting because it is a minority within a sport, and it might be potentially seen as an easy target?
Yeah, look, I think an easy target for one. I mean, there's as with anything in hunting, really, or anything at all. Like, all you got to do is look at the Facebook comments on bow hunting pages or any hunting pages and see that a lot of people in those pages are our own worst enemy in a lot of ways. I think it's easy to divide the bow hunters because you can often see people rifle hunters, and I mean I hunt with rifles all the time as well. But you see a lot of people who hunt with rifles saying things like, "Oh, I wouldn't hunt with a bow because I've seen it; it's cruel," and blah blah blah. And I mean I've made some terrible shots with rifles, and not, obviously not trying to. Like, mistakes will happen. But at the same time, I think I know bow hunting. I mean, I've only been hunting with bows for maybe 5 or 6 years or so, and it's become a very different world to what it was when I was first trying to look to get into it. Like, it's become really trendy now. It's associated with a lot of fitness and that kind of thing. So I think the way the world looks at bow hunting has maybe changed in that way. But certainly in Australia, and I'm guilty of this as well. I'm not really guilty of it, but we get to fall back on the idea that a lot of us need to kill a heap of animals for the sake of keeping the numbers of pests down, like pigs, foxes, whatever it is. So in other countries, they maybe don't get to use that as a reason to justify what they do. Whereas here, we've got plenty of people who eat what they hunt, like I do all the time. But I also am removing plenty of pest animals. But I tell plenty of people, I say, look, if I'm looking to have some fun or whatever, I'll go out and I'll walk around with my bows, and I might get lucky enough to get something. Because I haven't hunted with a compound for a little while now. I might get one again soon, but I'm only hunting with trad bows. So if I can't get inside about 20 metres of something, I'm pretty well never going to get it. So I spend a lot of time walking around with the bow, but then if I get to a point where I feel like I'm letting a lot of pigs, for example, walk because I'm not good enough to get them with my trad bow, then I'll take a rifle out and I'll roll a heap for the farmer, or I'll take my wife out and she'll roll a heap with a rifle. So the point I'm making there is, and I'm not saying this is all bow hunters, but I am not particularly effective at removing a heap of pests. So sometimes I go through other means, and I think in general, a lot of what I've seen, like sometimes bow hunters talk a lot more about the idea of like a trophy or chasing a really big bull or whatever, but it's hard for bow hunters as a group to say that they remove as many pests as doggers or trappers or rifle hunters or whatever. And of course, that's not the only reason why we all hunt, don't get me wrong, but I think that's maybe a reason why we're seen as an easier target in the greater public, because they know that no matter how hard a lot of bow hunters try, that the dent that bow hunters in Australia as a whole make on invasive or pest or whatever introduced animal populations is just nowhere near the kind of dent that rifle hunters might use or whatever. So it gets a bit complicated there.
Yeah, that shouldn't be used as an excuse. I mean, whatever way you hunt, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a collective sort of thing. So, you know, we're all doing our part.
And you're taking more than the people that aren't doing anything. So,
yeah, well, I mean, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm not saying, like, I don't necessarily think that that's worthwhile justification for public users. I just think it's like in Australia, like a lot of the way the general public, at least in my experience, perceives hunters is, even if a lot of people that I have come in contact with, for example, they maybe don't like the idea of it, but they understand that we've got lots of native plants and animals or that are at risk, you know, because of introduced stuff, or, you know, farmers, you know, land or livestock or crops or whatever are at risk. So it's very easy to kind of justify hunting just through that lens. Whenever people ask me why I hunt, especially why I hunt with a bow, the first thing I say is because I enjoy it. And I don't necessarily agree that we should need to justify ourselves or should need to give a lot more reasons than that. But I think it's just the way, I mean, I think the pendulum's starting to swing the other direction, really. I think there's a lot of movement around the organic harvest and the, you know, the free range meat and all the rest of it. So I don't think the situation, well, until I saw this thing about South Australia potentially going to ban it, I didn't think the situation was as dire as maybe what it sort of felt like it was 5 years ago. But, you know, these things just tend to pop up, and it's like anything, you know, bow hunting certainly on the periphery of hunting as a whole in Australia, in a similar kind of way to people who chase pigs with dogs, of which I've got some really good mates who do that, and I go out with them every now and then, and I enjoy it too. And again, I think that's an easier target than the rifle hunters. And I think one of the I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that I know what the solution is, but I think they're easier targets because people who own firearms say that they've gone through the procedure of the background checks and the licenses or whatever, whereas there's nothing like that for the archery stuff necessarily. And it's really difficult to say that we should maybe have that, because bringing in more legislation, it's kind of like another death by 1,000 cuts thing. But another reason why we might be seen as an easy target, I guess.
Are you worried that it's got a foothold into Tasmania and now they're trying in South Australia that it's just going to move to other states and just sort of take over?
Well, it's interesting, you know. Like I don't know, like I don't know anywhere near as much about Tasmania and South Australia in terms of hunting as what I do about New South Wales and Victoria in particular. And again, I think it's very easy. I mean, it's in terms of the death by 1,000 cuts, like it's going after a small group of hunters, being bow hunters. It's also, I mean, I'm not sure what the number of people in South Australia is who hunt, but it's obviously significantly less than Victoria and New South Wales. So potentially, if there's some great agenda, the idea of getting a bunch of the smaller states in this particular line, then it might be easier to convince some of the bigger states to go that way. I don't know. I mean, it certainly doesn't look good. Any erosion on any rights being taken away whatsoever in terms of hunting and fishing and outdoor stuff in general just always makes me feel really uneasy, mainly because most of it, as we're all aware, is not really based on anything scientific or anything particularly evidence-based, anything like that. It's usually just based on emotion and based on people who make the most noise. Like in the area where I live, northern New South Wales, the people who are really into the brumbies in the national parks around here make a hell of a lot more noise than the people who don't like the brumbies. So the brumbies are sort of seen as sacred by a lot of people around here, even though they're doing a hell of a lot of damage to some of our national parks, you know?
Yeah. One thing that sort of Susan Close and the RSPCA and all that are pushing is that bow hunting or killing an animal with an arrow typically through the chest is what most hunters would aim for. They claim it is inhumane. Now, I just want your opinion, like arrow versus bullet.
Yeah. I mean, I've killed plenty of animals with, rifles, and you hit them well and they die very quickly. You don't hit them well and it makes it a bit of a problem. It's exactly the same thing with arrows. I wouldn't actually say that, in general, arrows kill much, much slower as long as you're on top of your equipment, your broadhead sharp. Most of the animals I've hit with my bows, compound or recurve or longbow, have died extremely quickly. Like what anybody who doesn't know anything about bow hunting would be surprised to see, really. I mean, we're talking about a matter of seconds, 10 to 20 seconds in the vast majority of the time. But I like I mentioned before, I mean, we're talking about going out and killing animals. So it sometimes gets ugly, but it's just the nature of the beast. Like, we're trying to go out to take an animal's life. That doesn't necessarily mean it's cruel or barbaric. And again, I don't know how people might legislate against whatever. But whenever I find people who have no idea what they're talking about something as being cruel, I just often take a step back and I just think, what do you actually know about cruel? I've seen dogs in yards of towns I've lived in being treated a hell of a lot worse than anything I've shot an arrow through, And so when a lot of this comes about from quote unquote animal lovers, I have a really hard time dealing with a lot of the hypocrisy, I suppose, in that sense. Like, some of the people who have criticised me for hunting that I've, been mates with or whatever, like the way they treat their pets or has been really ordinary. And I kind of find myself sitting there thinking, well, this is, you got to have a bit of a look at yourself before you label something that I'm doing as being cool. In the same way that, putting an arrow through an animal that's lived a life, fairly wild and free, and then eating that animal, it's probably, a lot more, all things taken on balance, people could probably live with a much better conscience doing that than maybe somebody, who's lined up thousands of sheep in an abattoir and they've just been coming out of a conveyor belt, been electrocuted and having their throats slit. And, I'm not throwing the sheep industry under the bus. I've got a lot of mates who are farmers. We need to kill that many animals like that because we've got several billion people in the world that need being fed. So I understand that, and I don't really have a big issue with that. But it's just, I think the word cruel gets thrown around because it's very emotive. And a lot of people, maybe they do know what it means, but they're not really thinking about cruelty in the big picture, and the idea that, at the same time, some of these things you see, like pelicans and geese or whatever the hell on golf courses with arrows that have field tips through them. That's absolutely cruel, but anybody who is a real bow hunter wouldn't refer to the people who shot those arrows through those animals as bow hunters at all, So there are a lot of crazy people who do lots of cruel stuff to animals, like, whether it's with a bow or through any number of other things, and those things are all already illegal. So the idea of making bow hunting illegal because some moron illegally shot some protected animal with a weapon that wasn't fit for purpose just doesn't make any sense either.
I think definitely you're 100% right there. I mean, we've been talking about the fact that, someone drink drives. That doesn't mean everyone should be banned from driving, or, it's like any sort of lifestyle choice or pursuit in life. There is always going to be a number of fuckwits out there who spoil it for everyone else who does the right thing. And I think one of the important points you raised there, Dylan, is that as hunters we can often be our own worst enemies. And this is definitely something where the entire hunting community needs to work together. And even if you're not a bow hunter and you only hunt with a rifle or whatever, like, this is an important cause for everyone to get on board with, so that your chosen method of hunting isn't next in the firing line for getting a ban or some extra restrictions in place. We need to sort of nip this in the bud now and stop the rot and stop it spreading and stop, the easy targets or the smaller groups of hunters from having, things imposed upon them before it spreads to the wider hunting community. So, yeah, you're definitely right there. Hunters, we need to work together rather than, tear each other apart and have, stupid petty differences on stuff.
Oh, I mean, well, like I said, it doesn't matter what kind of hunting it is. Any Facebook page, go through any of the comments on there, and there's always people being ugly to each other. And I just, like people are incapable of having a healthy, friendly, cordial disagreement. Like they've got to be having a go at all sorts of people. And I mean, it's just easy to be anonymous and be a keyboard warrior. I know it's really trendy to be throwing words around like that now, but every time I've had a potentially negative interaction on social media, I've always done my absolute best to conduct myself in a way whereas if somebody, some kind of crazy entity was watching, they wouldn't necessarily have an excuse to take anything that I've put on there and use it as ammunition against us. If everybody else tried to conduct themselves in a similar manner, there'd probably be a lot less fuel for these kinds of fires on social media. And again, like even within bow hunters, like I see a lot of it's friendly banter, but I see a lot of ugly stuff sometimes between the trad guys and the compound guys. And I don't even know why we all need to. I mean, we're all bow hunters. It's not like the South Australian government's going to say we're going to ban hunting with recurve bows, but we're going to let the long bows as legal. Like, I mean, it makes no difference to them. They just want anything that shoots an arrow. I mean, they're even including crossbows in the thing, right? So it's just like, doesn't matter how much you might want to argue with somebody who's got training wheels on their bow or some old, nerd wearing a plaid shirt and wooden arrows. Like when it all gets done, none of us are going to get to do what we want potentially. And no amount of bickering on Facebook is going to make that better.
Exactly. 100%, man. Well, agree with what you've said there. So we have to say a big thank you to you for your input and cheers for being a part of the podcast tonight.
Cheers, Dylan.
No worries.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Thanks, Adam.
Awesome, man. No problems at all. And, enjoy the rest of your night, man. Thank you.
Cheers, man. See ya.
Thanks, bud.
See you, Dylan.
Wait.
All right, so let's get someone else on. Good old mate Zach, Aussie Sparrow.
You'll definitely have some words to say.
Old Aussie Sparrow. I love how on your phone it is Zach Aussie Arrow in brackets.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
Hang on, why don't
What are you doing?
you there? Yep, there we go.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we can hear you. It's all good, bro.
She's all sweet.
Yeah, sweet. Had the wrong switch up.
Oh, he's going through the deck.
Oh, he's going. Well, we're dueling decks tonight, mate. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you're live on
Yeah, man.
podcast.
Docking. How convenient is a deck?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I just wrapped up the podcast and just switched the switches. Obviously, switched the wrong one, but I got there in the end.
Yeah, the one with the Bluetooth symbol, man, the blue one.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked to a few other people as well tonight, and we wanted to talk to you. So we just raised the concern and the issue about South Australian government banning bow hunting or attempting to.
Proposed
Yep.
to be.
The
So we just
Deputy Premier Susan Close.
exactly. We just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, well, no, I've got many thoughts. Some G-rated, some not.
So one point that I've found is obviously Susan Close working closely with RSPCA. And they're pushing the fact that bow hunting, like a chest shot, is inhumane.
Yeah, so she doesn't just work closely with RSPCA. She's tied in with Greenpeace and who knows what else, animal liberation, animal rights groups. So their case studies, from what I can see, looking at the RSPCA website, they're just going off of animals that have been shot with a field point from, a $100 bow bought at a camping store.
Yeah,
so
chills.
that's where, that's exactly where they're getting their stuff from. Because if you have a look on their website, it's all these animals with field points in them. So,
All right, so they're obviously we all know, but they're just misleaded into the information they've got. Or do you
I
reckon
don't think they're
twisting it?
misled. I think they're twisting it and they don't want to hear the other side. The amount that Susan Close has been tagged in at least the last 4 weeks, the amount of emails that have been addressed to her, the radio interview she did, and I jumped on straight after she was on and got cut off. They don't want to hear it. They have an agenda they're trying to push and what they want to do. There's been a few write-ins to the Advertiser and a couple of other mail things, and you Google their names and they all have tie-ins to these animal rights groups.
So, okay, if that is the case and they're all giving each other hand shandies, how do you suggest that we fight this? If bombarding them with emails and media is not working, do we need like a QC or something to fight this, to stop it from being actioned?
Look, I think bombarding them as much as we can from hunters from all over with the actual facts is going to help, because you're reaching different MPs that aren't under her thumb. So that does help. I have seen other emails from other MPs that aren't from Labor coming back with different responses, which is great to see. I know that there's a meeting going on with Chaser soon and some other political members. So fingers crossed that goes somewhere with it. It's a hard one. We kind of need someone to step up and become a party member for Shooters, Fishers, Farmers Party in South Australia. We had one a few years that went to shit, and we just need someone lobbying for our rights.
Is that going to be too late though to sort of angle at it from that side? So obviously this is going to go to a court or the High Court, or no, sorry,
Yeah.
not the High Court, but yeah, for this to be passed. So I'm presuming that a lawyer is going to be the only way that we fight this.
Look, at the moment, she hasn't even put the bill into Parliament yet. So there is a website where you can go through and see what bills have been put through into Parliament. That hasn't been put through yet, which is one benefit. It probably would be too late to get someone up. But she's also going to be gunning after duck hunting in South Australia as well. I know they gun for it every year, but she did some stuff at the start of the year and around duck season. So I'm sure as hell she's going back down that path next duck season. And we just really need someone out there as of now pushing for our rights and giving us a voice to these city slickers who have no clue.
It's interesting you mentioned duck hunting, because something we were told is that there are some members of the Labor Party who are duck hunters who are actually in support of this, which is quite
anything to get votes, man. You know what it's like. All they care about is votes and seeing, like, looking good for their other party members.
But surely they can see that eventually they're going to come for them. You know, obviously hunting as a whole. I mean, you're talking about these Greens and Peter and all these animal activist groups that they're not going to stop. They don't want to stop. They're just going to keep etching away, no matter what form of hunting or what. They're not going to be satisfied until everyone's eaten a lettuce leaf for dinner. Is what I'm trying to say, and that's the God honest truth about it. They're not going to be happy.
100%. We have to guard the gate. So whether you bow hunt, whether you rifle hunt, whether you duck hunt, whether you're a shooter, whether you're a fisherman, whether you go out just camping, they're coming after all of it. Victoria is a very great case with Dan Andrews at the moment. Give me 2 seconds. I actually saved the other day how much their fines are going to be. So this is Labor's new fines for Victoria. Labor has proposed a set of new extreme laws for Victoria's accessing local parklands. Fishing fines, almost $2,000. Swimming fines, almost $2,000.
Swimming?
Swimming in like local lakes and streams without the right permit. Removing a rock from public land is going to be close to $4,000 for a fine. leaving a designated walking track or riding trail is going to be close to $1,000. So think of that for backpack hunting in Victoria, like how much they're going to
that just eliminate
try
it.
it. Yeah, exactly. Engaging in sports or recreational activity without a permit, $2,000 fine. Organising an event with 30 or more people without a permit is going to be almost a $2,000 fine. So they're gunning after everything. It's the outdoors way of life they're gunning for. So we have to all stand together. Whether you're a mountain bike rider, a camper, we all have to have each other's back, and because otherwise we're not going to be able to do any of these activities we love and enjoy.
It almost feels like we need a big backer, like someone financially or a group of people that are financially able to back this in a huge way to fight all these things, because we're talking about pushing shit uphill here, which costs money.
Exactly, and that's why you have organisation, like you've got the Shooters, Fishers, Farmers Party, you've got organisations like Firearm Owners United. You know, these people are going out and battling these things. Firearm Owners United are going to Parliament, you know, a few times a year to battle cases for us. So
how could we get these groups to band together? Because I see somewhat there's a bit of a division between groups. They're not completely on the same page. So how can we get all these groups to stand together and, you know, have a united front?
Look, we're human beings. We're never going to have a united front with everyone.
You're correct, but we need to.
We do need to. The old school mentality has always been, you know, these divisions in this type of stuff. But you're seeing more and more lately that these groups are reaching out and trying to work together. Firearm Owners United today put out a post calling all the different other shooters unions and stuff like that. They want to have a big round table meeting and work out how they can do this.
It's definitely a start.
That is.
Someone raised a point from the floor at the ADA meeting on the weekend, Zach, and it was actually a pretty good idea, I think, in that we should probably approach some of the bow hunting companies or the bow manufacturers over in the States especially, in terms of alerting them to what the situation is and then sort of lobbying them to whether they want to put some funds towards the cause or, you know, just picking their brain for, you know, a strategy, I guess, you know, for how to fight this in South Australia, because I'm sure that this sort of thing has probably come up in the States at some point, and they've probably found a method to just fucking squash it pretty quickly. So, I mean, when it comes to corporations, if there's something that's going to affect their bottom line in terms of all of a sudden there's going to be no one buying bow or bow hunting equipment in South Australia or probably Australia eventually if this stuff keeps rotting away. Do you think that's probably a good strategy? What do you reckon?
Look, there is ways you can go about it. The states do have organisations that contact these types of companies that you can donate money to fight these things for this type of cause. The podcast I was doing tonight with a bloke from Oz Fish and Game, we just had this discussion talking about whether we should have like a charity organisation where you do donate money, become a member, and then they use those funds to go fight and campaign for our way of life.
Yeah.
So it's possible. You know, there's ways to do it, and then you know you've seen Robbie's work with this South Australian bow hunting band from Blood Origins. You know, he's got those contacts. So if it went to that financial bit where we had to go to court and organise lawyers and stuff, I'm sure someone like him could get a big backing for it.
It's sort of comforting to know that there's some people out there, willing to financially support it. Because to be honest, I see this as a financial fight. Well, two things: a financial fight and an educational fight. That, we just need.
At the moment, I think it's an educational thing. We need to direct these people to foundations like the Ashby Foundation, which works on showing the information of how Arrow works. He's put thousands of animals down with a bow and arrow across Africa, Australia, and America, and documenting everything. So he's got all these case studies on how efficient a bow can actually be.
One thing that previously other people we've talked to as well, and we've talked to about it ourselves, is how do you feel about the proposal for a licensing or some sort of regulation on bows to sort of try and weed out those people that are just buying it from a sports store and just having a crack?
Okay, so has firearm laws working in Australia so far? People are still getting illegal firearms. So any regulation on that type of stuff, look, it would stop that. But I don't think that they would care either way because they want it banned. And you're still going to have those idiots that get a hold of something they're not supposed to and wreck it for everyone.
A bow's quite a simple thing to build, actually. When I was young, I used to make laminate bows out of bamboo wood with my father. So
redwood.
You could, and like I was just a kid with an idea and was like, Dad, fucking give us a hand building this, and you'd build one. And okay, it wasn't effective, really, in comparison to commercial bows. But you could
make
wound
a
something.
very effective self bow. It's not even wound something. Like they're planning to bring in regulations on something that you can just go down to a forest, cut down a tree. You can make a self bow. You can make a string out of sinew, and then you can make a stone point arrow and just be just as effective hunting if you put the time and dedication to. And there's no way to control what's going on. Like in South Australia, we've got no public land. So how are they going to manage a silent activity on private property? Like they've got no ways or no means of doing it.
There's already enough poachers with rifles, let alone having people with bows. As you said, you couldn't hear them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They've got no means to control it. They had the commission last year with it, which the Labor government has just thrown out because it wasn't their government that did the commission, and it didn't get the answers that they wanted. So,
sounds about right.
And she said that. She said that on the radio. I'm not sure if you fellas have heard the audio of that interview, but I can forward that to you for you to have a listen and break that down if you like.
Yeah, for sure, man. I haven't heard it, so yeah, send it through.
I'll send it through to you right now so that you can make good use of it tonight. But yeah,
Sorry, man. You said Josh. You phoned in and you were cut off. Did they just blatantly cut you off? And what radio station was it?
So that was 5AA, I believe. It was pretty pathetic. But yeah, they cut me off like a minute into making an argument. They asked for people's feedback, and then they threw it out quicker than he could press a button. It was pretty disgusting.
What, just hung up on you?
Just hung up on me mid through sentence. But that's how these talkback radio stations go. So
no, they've got to keep feeding their narrative, and if
you're
contradicting that,
she probably gave him a kickback, mate. Bloody close.
Oh, for sure. That wouldn't surprise me if she's getting kickbacks from these animal rights groups. So, but that's just my personal thought. So,
well, it's how politics works, man. We know this for a fact. Well,
exactly.
And that's a big issue in itself.
Exactly. I've just forwarded that soundbite over to you, Shannon. So whether you guys can play that or not, you hear that bit at the end. It's about 10 minutes or so, but you hear that 60, 70 seconds at the end where they asked me and then cut me off mid-sentence. So
yeah, sweet. We'll have a look at it.
Yeah, sweet, man. Definitely be worth a play, I reckon.
Easy, boys. I'll let you go. It's getting late. My podcast ran late as it is, but yeah, great chatting to you and keep up the good fight.
Nice dramas.
Let's get out for a bow hunt.
100%. I won't be stopping doing it. The only way to stop me is when I'm 6 foot under. So
fair enough. All right, man. Thanks for your input. Cheers.
Easy, boys. Catch you later.
Catch you.
See you, mate.
Catch you.
Bye.
So I'm an avid bow hunter. I've hunted all my life. She made some very wrong accusations and she is very misinformed about bow hunting.
What was the
So-
accusation she made that was wrong?
So, first off, she said that it's illegal across most of Australia. That is a lie. It's legal in every state bar Tasmania. It is also a very ethical thing to do. Often, once you shoot something with an arrow, it doesn't even know that it's been hit, and it dies very quickly and very peacefully.
Not necessarily that's the case, though, is it?
But that same goes with farm-raised meat, mate. I worked in an abattoir for many, many years.
You may have,
And
but if somebody shoots an animal with a bow, then there's no guarantee that very quickly it's gone.
And there's no guarantee that it's going to die instantly with a bullet either, or die instantly at an abattoir either, mate. So I worked on a kill for 4 years, and you'd be surprised at how unethical it can be at times. So bow hunting dates back to about 80,000 years ago, almost before Homo sapiens.
You know,
So it's one of the
Zach,
oldest-
that's true, but, you know, saying that it dates back many years, social mores change over time. I hear what you're saying, but there are lots of things now where the social mood is different and society moves on. That's what we call it.
Yeah, wow. So there's Zach on 5AA. They did cut him off, but they do that.
Look, it's
though
an
on radio.
argument that's not going to last 2 minutes.
It's not. It's something that's for a long format, and they do that on radio stations where they just cut people off and move on to the next before you can really make your point.
Yeah.
And let's face it, like Zach was right, Susan had some information that was incorrect.
Oh, 100%. That is incorrect. It's only banned in Tasmania.
Yeah. I almost felt like she was trying to be amicable in some points. She was trying to lean on that, you know, look, it's just a part that we don't accept anymore. But the fact of the matter is there's more bow hunters out there than what she realises. Once again, this is a dig for the broader community, just hunting in general. And regardless if it is a small community in South Australia in relation to other states, even if you're not a bow hunter, you need to jump on it and support bow hunting because they're coming for you next.
Oh, it's definitely a fight that we all need to take up.
It is.
It's
like little things like her saying that it was proposed in her campaign. That's false. As we know, that was proposed behind closed doors, not open to the public to her campaign. So that was just a grab at voters prior to her getting in.
And that's the problem with our government is because they can spin these lies, or maybe she was spun the lies herself. So no one, the public isn't going to sort of question it because they don't know any better.
Yeah, once again, it boils down to the educational issue. Now, I would be an avid supporter to actually extend an invite to Susan or any members of her group, her party, to come out for a hunt, both bows and rifles, and see how an actual hunter works.
Yeah, well, I guess
and how hard it is and how precise you aim and strive for during the hunt.
it's a good way to understand the hunt itself. And there's no better way to be informed on the subject, and which I feel they should be at least well more versed on what they're actually making decisions
She
for.
should be open to do that, to then actually have an educational experience and then be able to formulate her own opinion from an actual experience, an educational experience. And I feel that all PMs should be open to these things if they're trying to push some sort of bill or something like that, then they need to be able to see both sides clear
sure.
and precise. At the end of the day, everyone's going to have their own opinions, but Zach and old Dylan raised a good point. The abattoirs are messy.
Oh, yeah, and that's accepted just because it's...
Because you got to feed people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and they are messy. And cutting the throat of an animal, they bleed out, which takes time. just as the same as putting an arrow through them and a bullet.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, if you're comparing apples with apples and you're feeding your family, right? So you've shot an animal that's lived its entire life in the wild. Say the I don't know what I'm trying to say, but say the end game is the same, right? Say for in theory, that at an abattoir they're suffering and a bow hunter they're suffering, for example, right? Theoretically. What would you rather feed your family with? Something that's fucking lived its life free range, running around in the fucking bush, or something that's spent its time in a fucking pen with 5,000 other fucking animals with a life of misery just moping around a bloody grass paddock?
Well, exactly.
The free range option.
They're
100%.
bred to die.
Exactly.
You know, their lifespan is short. And Dylan has touched on this, and we've touched on this on the podcast prior to this. The organic sort of do-it-yourself sort of trend is out there, and it's getting bigger because people realise that people are realising it's more ethical, and they're eating what they're supposed to eat. They're not being force-fed to get fat.
Well, yeah, there's generally farmers that'll plant stuff to attract them, but on a wider scale.
Well, a lucerne paddock's going to attract deer. Yeah, 100%. But they're still feeding off of all the native pick that's coming up through the scrub, especially, when pressure's added to the animal. And they're a lot leaner. They're a lot better for you, as we know.
Mm.
So, I guess the way to sort of long-term beat this is education for the hunters and, like, for new hunters, and education for just the general public.
The wider community, they have to understand what bow hunting actually is.
Or hunting in general, period.
Or hunting in general, yes. But, I mean, at this time we're targeting bow hunting. They need to understand what that is, what it involves. They need a reference point, because the most important thing I think I can see here is that there's no reference point. It's an arbitrary fucking lick your finger, stick it in the wind and go, this is what suffering is. This is why this thing should be banned. But there's no comparison to anything else, any other means of how an animal dies, what it suffers, what it goes through.
Her argument was purely based on emotion.
Exactly.
Their only reference is what RSPCA would show them.
It's purely...
Which is never going to be...
And once again, that's a few incidences in a long lineage of practice.
Yeah.
Or the examples of fuckwits doing the wrong thing, which exist within any fucking field of whatever.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Any recreational...
We've got fuckwits drinking at the pub on Hornley. Jesus, man. That's more than a few. Let's stop teen drinking. No, I was drinking.
Or them driving home drunk. So let's stop fucking cars. Or cyclists running red lights. Let's stop cyclists.
What about Maccas? What about fast food, right?
Stay away from Maccas.
KFC.
No, fuck off.
Like, dead set, there are some fat motherfuckers out there that should probably put the spoon down. But no one's lobbying against, processing fast food, because that's probably killing more people slowly.
That's killing more cows.
Well played. Well, actually, we do have another little bit of input to this discussion from our good mate Hainsey.
Joshy, shout out to you, bruh.
He was tied up tonight, but he did prepare a little statement for us, and so I'll read that out to everyone. So, and in regards to the bow hunting ban in South, or the proposed bow hunting ban, we've got to stop speaking like this is ever going to fucking get up. But anyway, in regards to the proposed bow hunting ban, he said, not only will it affect us as hunters, but also our kids who we teach ethical hunting. Many stores will suffer that purely sell bow hunting equipment here in SA. There is only so many target hunters hitting that shop or those shops. I believe there is more to it than just that it's not ethical. Many of us hunters that hunt with a bow can hit a tennis ball at 50 metres with our equipment. As Blood Origins mentioned today, and if you haven't checked that video out, check that out as well. Practice, practice, practice makes perfect. Most bow hunters do the time for the reward, and I think we've brought up that probably bow hunters practice even more than rifle hunters. Let's be honest. So
I wouldn't even say it's probably. It's definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush here. They put in some hours.
The fact of the matter is, you can do it in your backyard.
Oh yeah, if I lived on a property where I had some targets.
You know,
I'll be
no,
shooting all the
not
time
even
as well.
property, man. We've all shot targets.
No, I understand that. But
You
I'm
know-
saying if I had the access to actually just walk out in the backyard and practice shooting, which would be property, then
But it doesn't
It'd be
have to
fucking
be
awesome.
property. That's why they can practice.
talking
more.
about a rifle comparison.
Oh, I thought you were still on the bow.
Fuck.
Sorry, man.
Keep
The
going.
point is, practicing with the bow is more accessible than with a rifle.
Yes.
But you're right. Yeah, if you had the acreage, you'd get out and practice with a rifle.
But we're not talking about properties, mate. We're talking about
If I could, I would shoot my gun every fucking day. But I live in
fucking
suburbia, so
Would
I
you?
cannot.
Would you?
If I could, I would.
Would you?
one shot at a time.
Josh, don't fucking
Would you?
question me. Don't question me.
I just want the
Don't
truth.
be one of those
I
hunters
just
who are
want the
my own
truth.
worst enemy.
I just want the truth.
Let's be
man.
united,
This
Josh.
is 5AA. Oh,
Who
would
are
you?
you? Are you Leon Bonner?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound like him.
Yeah. You sound like him, champ. Ban the semis. Fucking take everything.
Don't champ me. Fuck. Anyway, we're trying to present a united front here, so work with me. Hunters band together. That's what we're trying to get across here in this episode, which is very different for us. We're championing. Well, fuck. What are we doing?
Champing.
No, we're
Championing?
We're championing a cause, which is trying to stop the bow on ban hunting in South Australia.
And unite all hunters abroad.
Look, there'll be always between disciplines. There'll be always banter and giving
but that's
people
what-
shit and all that. But yes, when one of us are attacked, I think we all should stand together and fight back.
Correct.
But banter is banter, man. The amount of arguments I've had with Caleb, and I'm still in the same room with him,
that's-
man.
that's cusping
Like,
past
I've
banter.
put up with this dude for many, many years, and I'm still here. Still here talking to him. Like, you're going to have issues, you know, but you all need to see the bigger picture, which we're terrible at in Australia.
Yeah.
We need to
Terrible.
stop the erosion of our liberties.
Oh, all we've done for the last 30 years is just give away.
Oh, I like that.
Because they are eroding.
Eroding.
What is the fucking Jim Carrey movie? Is it
Eroding.
fuck, what is it? What's the movie?
No
fuck-
idea.
Jungle bullshit. Fuck, where he's got the hairdo and
Oh, fucking Ace Ventura.
Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Eroding.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. Fucking
Anyway, let's just stop the erosion. Let's stop the rot. Fucking nip this thing in the butt. Everyone band together. Join the cause.
do you think that it would be possible for someone to be in Parliament that is for this cause? Because if you're in Parliament, you've got to be quite switched on with a broad, you know, subjects. So, like one of us, we'd be terrible at it because, like, you go in the thought that you're just going to target hunting and better the hunting laws.
Are you asking if there's a politician who hunts? Is that what you're trying to get at?
No, I'm saying, is it possible to have someone in politics, that the general public that will accept that is for hunting?
A very charismatic person. Maybe you should run. People will just
Thought about it.
You can talk better than Biden, so you'll be fine.
only just somewhere between Trump and Biden is where you live, man.
Hey, look, I'm not ashamed of my redneck. Like, yous fuckers trying to hide it. But that's all right.
Bro, I'm wearing less clothes than you tonight.
Oh, mate, you try to hide it.
I got a bit
Don't
of
you
sun
worry.
tonight.
You're sitting there on that editing fucking thing going, yep, I sound terrible. Yep.
Just leave a few of Josh's fucking slip-ups in there.
Exactly. Exactly, mate. But I don't
Repeat
care.
those slip ups.
That's the thing.
I make mistakes too, Josh.
You're full of them tonight.
Yeah, you are.
I know, I
Fucking
couldn't
hell.
Tripping over your feet.
Talking like me tonight.
I don't know.
Jesus.
Maybe a few too many beverages, but
Slipping.
doesn't detract from the fact that we're making perfect sense. So if you're a hunter, fucking get on board.
Even as was it Dwayne? Even if you're a fisherman, full driver, outdoorsman,
Dylan.
That was it. Dylan that said that.
I think it was Zach.
Zach?
Yeah, Zach that said that.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
It was a good point, regardless. But they're all going to come for you eventually as well.
For your
So-
recreation.
How's
We're all-
that? Fucking taking a rock. $4,000.
Okay, thanks for the cut off, but keep going.
Sorry.
No, it's done. Yeah,
No. Come on.
yeah $4,000 for a rock.
Go fuck yourself. Like, $4,000 for a rock. I had to interject. It was going to happen.
Fuck, if the rock only costs that much, let's get him on.
shit.
God
See,
damn.
that was all laid up for that.
That is the worst.
Jesus.
Jeez.
He's quick. He's witty.
That is
Sorry.
rank. That is rank.
Carry on, Shannon.
I forget where I was going.
No, no.
It's all right.
No,
I'm used to it,
I'll
Josh.
stop talking.
I'm used to
No,
You
he's
cut
just-
everyone off.
He's trying to reiterate the point that if, we let this happen, then they'll go after other recreations, not just hunting. Soon you won't be able to ride a bike down a hill because you're...
Oh, you're looking
Hopefully.
thick. Soon you
Hopefully
can't walk
that-
down a track. Oh,
mountain
fun.
biking more so than the Lycra motherfuckers
Yeah.
because you'll be ruining a national park by riding a bike.
Oh, you'd be
for a
crushing
race.
grass.
You'll be crushing grass.
How's that? A walking track?
Killing the
walking,
native ants.
You're used to crushing grass, ain't you, Josh?
Yeah, fucking oath, mate. The walking tracks are going to be like fucking all decked out, so no one can twist their feet either, and no one disturbs the fucking vegetation underneath the earth, and it's all just going to be boring and plain.
And yet you put permanent fucking boreholes in with
Yeah.
concrete in the ground.
Yeah, well,
How's
we
that not
should
destroy it?
fucking find those fuckers that put them in.
Because it's government funded, man.
Man, this is getting ridiculous. I can't imagine a world where just the other week I was camping on a beach. It was pristine. It was beautiful. I was the
Getting
only
drenched.
motherfucker there. I can't imagine a world where that would be taken away from me. I'm moving to Texas. Fuck this shit.
Wait.
Is that just a drop the mic moment? Do I need to fucking hit the outro? Probably should. Anyway, well, we'll wrap this up here. Thank you for listening to our dribbling, but I feel like it's a pointed dribbling
Ranting.
tonight. We're fucking fired up.
Needed to be had.
Did
It is, and let's fight for semis again.
fight with a semi. Just scare people.
You never live that down, bro.
Fuck off.
Never.
Anyway,
Eroding. Eroding.
thanks for listening.
Gotcha.
Catch you next week.
G'day, dude and dudettes. Josh here. Do you find it hard to keep your long, hard barrels free from gun STDs? Maybe you need a clean out of your bore. If this is you, jump on over to highcaliber.com.au and use the promo code SENDITMATE to receive a 10% discount on all your gun cleaning needs. And remember, it's sexy to support Australian-made products. Everyone here at Send It Mate uses High Caliber, and we can promise you that it'll keep your firearms free from those pesky gun STDs.